Okay, let's start with the prayer. I think everybody can see the prayer verses, and even if not, everybody is familiar that by now. So let's just start with the prayers. You can do on mute itself. Om Gajanana Padmarkam Gajanana Maharnisham Anekadantam Bhaktanam Ekadantam Upasmahe Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhirbhavatu me sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So the next two prayers are Vyakarana specific. So I will go a little slow because for some people it may be new. Vakyakaram Vararuchim Bhāṣyakaram Patanjalim Pāṇininim Sutrakarancha Pranatosmi Munitrayam Atha Maheshwarani Sutrani Ayivun Riluk Evong Auch Ayavarat Lan Nyamangananam Jabanya Gadadash Jabagadadash Kapha Chatata Chatatav Kapai Tasar Hal Iti Maheshwarani Sutrani. This last one, the Maheshwara Sutra, I would encourage everybody to by heart it. And the red letters, the letters in the red at the end of each word, they are it letters. Other letters are all you can recognize that they are from the normal alphabet. So it is good to by heart all of those. I think I have mentioned this in the beginning of the class when we were dealing with the slides, but this is mainly for those who have joined the class late. Okay.
Jagdishji, somebody has kept the unmute, and so the voice is coming.
Unless you have questions, please mute because there will be echo and the background noise more than echo. And only if you have a question. For questions, I will pause and ask for questions, and then you unmute yourself and then ask the questions. Okay. And on this Maheshwara Sutras, they're actually the same aksharas that you are familiar with. They are just rearranged in a more rational way by sage Pāṇini. And when you pronounce those, be conscious about what are the Mahapranas and what are the Alpa Pranas. Okay. For example, the second line, Jha-bha or Jha-bhanya. So those are both Mahapranas. You can think I am pretty clear about my pronunciation, pretty explicit when it is Mahaprana. So Jha-bhanya, Ghadadhash, those are Mahapranas. The same five, in the same order, the Alpa Prana versions are next, Jabagadadash. So it is non-aspirated, so it is Alpa Prana. You don't voice so forcefully. And in the next, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 letters. The first five are Mahapranas. That is why I generally give a pause after the first five, even though they are in the same line. Okay, like Kabha Chatata Chatatav. Okay, so keep that in mind when you are trying to by heart. So yesterday, now I remembered because I put a footnote there. Yesterday, somebody sent me a message saying that she's going to India, so she's going to miss some of the classes. She may not be able to join live. So I sent her a reply, which is a wish in Saṁskṛta. I think this is not a modern day wish, it's like a ancient wish, which is shown there in the bottom. You can see those letters. One of you can unmute it.
Shivaste pantha-nastantu.
Okay, so that is the reply I sent her. Now, Shivaste pantha-nastantu is written as 2 words here, but if you break the sandhis, it will be 4 words. Shivaha te panthanah santu. I'm highlighting this just not because I asked her, but there were curiosity questions. Somebody asked, what does it mean? And somebody answered, this is what it might mean. Then I replied that we will discuss this after the prayer before getting into the text. Okay. Now this Shivaste Panthanas Santu, like we are familiar with the other Sanskrit wishes and prayers. Like we say good night, Shubharatri, and then thanks, Dhanyavada. But those words, Shubharatri and Dhanyavada, those looks like they somebody translated to Sanskrit the popular English wishes. Whereas Shivaste Panthanas Santu, just by the way the words were chosen, it doesn't look like a modern translation of an English wish. So, and even the meaning wise, the equivalent one is bon voyage. That also is not English. I think it is French. Not for sure, but some in the class will know. So what does this Shivaste Panthanas Santu mean? So Shivaha, it is plural. So it is not the Shiva living in Kailasa. Okay. Now Shiva, the actual meaning of the word Shiva is auspicious or Mangalakara. Okay. So if it is referring to Shiva in Kailasa, then it would have been singular. Shiva, and even Shiva gets that name because he is Mangalakara, auspicious. So Shivaha in plural, auspicious. Te means yours, like tava is yours in Saṁskṛta, and some of the pronouns have 2 options. So te is a short for tava. So te is yours. Panthanaha, ways, or your way, or your travel.
Journey.
Okay. So all of them mean that. Panthanaha, where you're going. And santu mean may they be. So overall it means may your journey be auspicious. So it is a lot more than saying just have a safe journey or bon voyage. It has a little more.
So just one request, if you can, because we are recording this, if you can go over that mantra again, explanation again, that will be helpful. Because
Okay,
for new people.
I didn't know when I got disconnected. Okay, so it's not a mantra, it's a practical laukika wish. Shivaste Panthanas Santu. So I was saying Shivaste Panthanas Santu, written there as 2 words, and that is how you pronounce it. But if to get the meaning, you have to break the sandhis. So I am doing it here. Shivaha te, when they combined the visarga, because of the visarga sandhi will happen. So it will become Shivaste. That is first word combined, or the first 2 words combined as Shivaste. The second and third, you can see the visarga in between. So there will be visarga sandhi will come into effect, which we will study later on. So Pantanaha Santu will become Panthanas Santu. So Shivaste Panthanas Santu. Now Shiva, the word Shiva, meaning wise, etymologically, it means auspicious. The Sanskrita equivalent is Mangalakara. Okay, that is Shivaha. So that is plural. Now this plural because Panthanaha word is plural. Panthanaha is your journeys, your way, your path, or whatever you are going to do, your target. So those things, because pantanaha is plural, shivaha becomes plural because it is becoming an adjective. The word te in the middle is there, yours, like shashti ekavachana, sixth case singular of the pratipadika you, okay, yours. Then santu is may they be. That short two-syllable word in Saṁskṛta, santu, has the meaning of a wish, saying that may they be. Okay, all those three are included in that, in the meaning of that. So it is a verb word, as it is a wish in second person, because it's telling you, your ways, and plural, because plural is because of the ways, because during the journey we don't know how many places you are going to visit. All of them let be auspicious. Okay, everybody with me?
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Any questions on this? Because a couple of people were discussing about that. Then I said I will bring it up in the class. Okay. That done. Let's go to the text. And I had sent a PDF of one page, not sent. I have put it in the class notes folder, created a subfolder in the Google Drive. And the subfolder, I named it as class notes. So anything like this, I will put it in there, because people asked. I had made some markups on the this is the page we are talking about. All these blue wordings I had marked up in my PDF of the textbook, so that everybody can see that. So some of the people asked, how do we get this? And I jokingly said, you have to write it down in your notebook. So I made a PDF of this page so that you can write it down leisurely. Don't have to write it down, or you can take a printout of the sheet. Okay, so all the blue letters are marked in by me. The black letters are the original in the textbook. So let's go to the textbook. All the top things later in blue we have discussed in the last class. What are they about? This is mainly about the importance of the Vedangas, and specifically Shiksha, because we are in the topic of Shiksha, the phonetics, or the branch of study of pronunciation. So let's go word by word on the book, what Medhaji has written. Shiksha, phonetics, comes first among the Veda Shadangani. Vedasya Shat Angani. Angani are the preparative steps or auxiliary branches or angas of Veda. 6 limbs of disciplinary auxiliary to the study of Veda, as I mentioned, because the teachings is traditionally Karna Parampara. Like earlier, before the time of paper and pen, or any medium or instruments of writing. It may be talapatra and lekhani. Before those things, it was the teachers said clearly and explicitly to the students, and then students followed, by-hearted, learned again and again. And when they became a teaching position, or when they became parents, they told their students or children. So that is how it passed from generation to generation. Because of that, because there was no writing tool to correct or know what is right, what is wrong, the pronunciation is extremely important in Saṁskṛta. And that continued even now, because the pronunciation as it was earlier, the millennia ago, the same precision is followed even now. There is no slurs and mispronunciations, and there are different ways of checking any mispronunciation. built-in mechanisms of correcting it. So before studying any other discipline in it, it is very important to be aware of how the sounds are produced by the organ of speech before studying any other disciplines. All these things I have explained in my own words in the last class. We are just reading it from the text. All of these have been discussed in the last class and also when we started on the slides. Now, because it is in the textbook, we are doing it again and also for anybody who has missed the introductory slides. So Shiksha as Sandhi, the next chapter is going to be Sandhi, and Sandhi, to know the pronunciation is very essential before we get into the Sandhi chapter. And that is the reason why we are starting with this book and this chapter first. As Sandhi deals with the phonetics changes, Shiksha is very much relevant and thus be understood properly by the students. Okay, all this have been highlighted in the previous class. There is another sentence and another verse from Taittiriya Upanishad about the Shiksha. The earlier on the top mentioned about the Mundaka Upanishad, that mentions all the 6 auxiliary branches. Now this mention in Taittiriya Upanishad is specifically about Shiksha. Okay, so what does it say? The verbatim, it goes, Shiksham vyakyasyamaha. Let us discuss Shiksha or pronunciation or phonetics. So here the Upanishad itself lists the 6 important aspects of pronunciation. Okay, those are Varnaha, Swaraha, Matra, Balam, Sama, Santanaha. Okay, we'll mention all of this briefly. Okay, this Varnaha is the letters or aksharas. How to pronounce the akshara, where they should be modified, and all those things. So that will be in the very, very first section will be Varna in this chapter 1. Okay? This classification of sounds is about Varna. Then Swaraha. Swara is the different ways of pronunciation of certain vowels. Okay, like there's Udatta, Anudatta, Swarita, those kinds of swaras. Swara has multiple meanings. In music, the swara means different. In common language, swara just means voice. But in grammar, it has a meaning similar to the Vedic chanting. But there is a difference between swara, meaning of swara in Veda, and what swara means in Veda and what swaras mean in grammar. There's a slight difference. Then what is matra? Matra is the duration of pronunciation. This also we'll talk about in detail in this chapter itself. Like there's 3 matras or 3 duration of pronunciation: short, long, and prolated or extra long. In Saṁskṛta they are called hrasva, dirgha, and pluta. Okay, that is matra. And balam. Balam is the effort. There is 2 kinds of efforts. That also we'll discuss in the chapter. The internal effect, so-called abhyantara prayatna. So there are 2 types of prayatnas or balam, abhyantara and bahya. So internal effort and external effort. Okay. And sama is like the uniformity of pronunciation, not going high, low unnecessarily or loud and low voice. That uniformity, samatvam in pronouncing. And santanaha is about the connectivity, connection. That is about the sandhi. Okay. So this vakya comes in the early part of the Taittiriya Upanishad in the Shiksha Valli. The Valli itself is named after the Shiksha. Shiksha Valli and 2.1, first verse in the second, not adhyaya, what is it called? Yeah, section 2.1. Okay, so let's look at the varnas, or how the sounds are produced and where they are modulated. Okay, so we are talking about the varna part first. That is the number one classification of sounds. So in the next section, you will see a table. Again, these tables we have discussed in a little more detail in the slides. So I will show that that table also. So points of articulation, any varna or any akshara has a specific point of articulation. Okay, can't pronounce any letter from anywhere. So based on the points of articulation, you will get the sound out. Like for any voice to come out in the human voice system, the lungs will expel the air. Of course, all the things start with the brain or your mind. So mind sends the signals, and the diaphragm pushes the lungs up. So the air is expelled from the lungs through your vocal system. And once the upper part of the vocal system, then there are 6 points of articulation. Okay, so those 6 points are throat or kantha in Saṁskṛta, palate, which is called talu in Saṁskṛta, roof of the mouth, which is called murdha, and then teeth, which is dantaha, and then lips, oshtau, and nose, nasika. Okay, so let me first start with the pronunciation and all these points of articulation of the vowels. We talked about earlier that there are 3 types of letter broadly: vowels, consonants, and then a couple of outliers called ayogavahas, which is like anuswara, visarga, and those things. Okay, there are 4 different notations we use, which do not belong to vowels or consonants. They have characteristics in between and a little beyond, and their characteristics are not, their pronunciation is not fixed. Okay, they vary based on what letters come before those and what come after. Okay, so I have another slide which I made for the presentation part. I put it in, made it in color so that, and added some more details than given in the book. Okay, so let me, can see this. I think this is the biggest I can make. Everybody can see the letters?
Yes.
Okay. So this is, I made it in into 2 slides. This is about the vowels first. So swaraha, vowels. And the question comes sometime, this mainly we have discussed this in the presentation part, but for those who didn't attend the first presentation, so a question sometimes comes, people always ask, especially people from learning Sanskrita from other languages. Okay, in English, we have 26 alphabets. How many letters does Sanskrita have? Okay. And the answer varies based on how detailed you want to go. Generally, the consonants are pretty fixed. There are 33 consonants. The variation difference in numbers come mainly in the case of swaras. Okay, So here, after vowels, I have put a series 4 different numbers. Okay. So there's if somebody asks, those who are following Pāṇinian grammar, they might say basically there are 9 vowels, but we hear more than 9. So these 9 vowels have different variations among them. Okay, and you also come across 13 vowels, and also you get the number 22, and also you can get the number like 132. So when is which, we'll briefly talk about that in this section itself. Now, first, the 6 points of articulation. There is a sketch here on the right. So the kanta or throat, shown in 1, I think it is big enough to see.
Yes.
Shown in the red. Okay. So the kanta is like a base of the throat. When you make sounds like ka or a, you can feel that the contact is happening on the base of the throat. Okay. So that location is called kanta. So the letters, aksharas, that are modulated at the kanta, they are called kantyas, obviously. Kanta, kantya. Kantya are the letters, kanta is the organ. Okay. And in English equivalent, more often used equivalent is gutturals. So those letters are called gutturals, which are modulated at the throat. Next, you come a little forward, and then there is roof of the mouth. This is like not the top of the mouth, as you come out just before that. So that part is called talu. Okay, and the English equivalent is palate. So those varnas or aksharas modulated at the talu, they are called talavyas. Okay, this is a little small letters, but you can see that talavya. So these are all masculine, so it is talavyaha in singular, talavyaha will be plural. So those are the aksharas modulated at talu. Then there is the front roof of the mouth. That part is called murdha. Okay, and these are the letters, murdhanyas, those modulated at murdha. These are the letters pronouncing which your tongue has to roll backwards. The tip of the tongue will roll back and touch the roof of the mouth, front roof of the mouth. This is the letters like ra, ta, da, na, all those things. You can see that your tongue has to roll backwards to touch the roof of the mouth. So they're also called retroflex because tongue has to roll backwards, retro. Okay. So in English, there are 3 names. They're called cerebrals, retroflex, and also lingual. In Saṁskṛta, there's only 1 name, murdhanya. Okay. Coming forward, the next one is called danta, the modulation for danta. That is, this is where while pronouncing these letters, your teeth will touch, your tongue will touch the back of the teeth. So dantaha, plural, dantaha is singular, dantaha, because there are many. So those modulated by the danta are called dantya, dental. So in English, these are called dental letters. Coming forward, then the osto, lips. There are letters like pa, pa, ba, bha, ma, and u, o. You can see the lip shape changing when you pronounce that. So because of that, they are called ostya or ostyaha. Ostau. This ostau is dvivachana because we have 2 lips. Okay, and in English they are called labials. And then there are some letters like ma, na, nya, all those things. You can see the nasality of it. So those are modulated by nose as well. So the modulation point is nasika or nose. So they're called nasals. Okay. So let's look at the vowels. Now, in the Pāṇini Sutras, where does this number 9 come from? In Pāṇini Sutras, we looked at that, our last prayer, a, I, un, ril, rik, e, ong, I, ouch. So there, a, I, u, r, l, e, I, o, au. Those are the only 9 vowels listed in Pāṇini Sutras. Okay. Later on, he adds these 9 include other varieties. He mentions that later on. So, because it is Maheshwara Sutra, sutras are very, very concise, and they want to use minimum number of letters. That is why we have 9 in Maheshwara Sutras. Okay, so that is where the first number 9 come from. This is a, I, u, r, l. Those are the base or short vowels, so called. So these are swatantra swaras or monophthongs. Okay, simple vowels. A, I, u, r, l. Now, a, I, u are very, very common, and the vowel r, like rishi, ritu, the first letter, those are less common, and the l part, the dental vowel, is very, very rare. Okay, so you don't get a lot of examples, so you don't have to worry much about that. Okay, but for completion's sake, it is there. Then these 4, A, I, O, O, they are diphthongs. Diphthongs means they are the combined vowels, sandhiswaras or diphthongs. The D, you can see the D there indicating 2. Okay, so they have combined points of articulation. A is a combination of A and E. That is why it is guttural and palatal. So the A is gutturopalatal, or in Sanskrita it is kantatalu. And same is I. So A and I both have kanta and talu as the point of articulation, or sthana. Again, sthana means point of articulation. Sanskrita word for point of articulation is sthana. Sthana has different meanings, but when it comes to vyakarana and especially phonetics, it is point of articulation. Later on in the grammar, when we talk about sandhi changes, then we will talk about another definition of sthana. Like a word in any language, based on the topic, it will gain different meanings. Same thing here for sthana. So when we're talking about a pronunciation, sthana means point of articulation. So AI. Same way, O and O, they are gutturolabial, because while pronouncing O and O, you can see that your lips also participate. So it is coming from kanta and oshtau. Okay, and then when we talk about when we by-hearted our swaraksharas in our mother tongue, we went like I, I, u, r, e, I, o, aha. Now this aha is not actually and aha. It is only the m part, anuswara. But the anuswara and visarga cannot be independently pronounced. They always come after another vowel. That is why and aha, that is how we learned it. But here you can see that in the computer generated, you can always make it independent of a vowel. Okay. So because it is not just because that it can be im, it can be om, it can be om. All are a swara followed by this anunasika. Same way it can be aha, it can be ihi, it can be ihi like Lakshmihi, or it can be uhu like guruhu. Okay, so this visarga is a notation. It's pronounced from the kanta, because you can say that that kind of pronunciation is from the base of the throat. Okay, whereas this m kind of a pronunciation is nasal. Okay, So a, I, u, r, r, a, I, o, au, and and visarga. Then in the common language, whether it's Sanskrita or any other language, we always see the longer versions. Like in any language we have studied, or at least most language that I know of, you always studied like e, short and long, u, short and long, r. Okay, in some non-Sanskrit in the Indian languages, there's only one version of r, but in Sanskrit there are two versions of r, but only one version of r. So now when you add the dirgha, because these are the 13 we generally see in when we read anything, whether it is Gita, Ramayana, all those things, we generally see these 9 plus 3, 9 plus 4, 14 letters. Okay, so or 9 plus 4, 13 letters. So that is where the second number 13 comes from. Okay, so combining Rasva and Dirgha and the diphthongs. Now, where does the 22 come from? In Sanskrita language, there is another extra long or pluta or prolated swaras. Okay, like a, long, extra long a. Those extra long versions are called pluta. Okay, so a has an extra long version, e has an extra long. So all these 5, 6, 9 letters have extra long versions. As you can see, a, I, o, au, because they are diphthongs, they don't have a hraswa or short. Okay, and the dantya vowel l doesn't have a dirgha. It has hraswa and pluta only. So now if you count all of these, you end up with 22. Okay. 9, 17, 22. So that is where this third number 22 comes from. Okay. This is pretty complete. Now, where does the number 132 come from? So that comes from after adding these additional factors. Now, additional factors is the textbook has this detailed laid out in a table, but because it is mentioned here, I will go through that. So this swara. Now, each of these letters like a or a, they can be pronounced with, or we can say as a lower pitch, higher pitch, or normal pitch. Okay. Now, pitch is a general word used. This is true in music. Higher, lower is referring to the pitch. But Pāṇini has a strict definition. What is this udatta, anudatta, and swarita mean? Generally, it is said anudatta is lower, udatta is normal, anudatta is lower, and swarita is higher. Now, Pāṇini has a specific definitions, which I have mentioned in the textbook. We have mentioned that. But see that each of these can be pronounced at 3 different, let's use the word pitch for the time being, 3 different pitches. Okay. So that now you have this 22 times 3, all of them can be pronounced in 3 different pitches. But we are still not at 132. So that gives you 22 times 3 gives you 66. Where did this 132 come from? Any guesses? Anybody?
Is it 2 times?
66. 66 has to be doubled, right? So there should be another way of pronouncing which should be applicable for all of those. So each of these 66 letters can be pronounced purely through the mouth or through mouth, and nasal. Okay, so it's nasalized and non-nasalized. Like for example, if you say a, it is non-nasalized. And you can also pronounce a as and especially people with the Hindi mother tongue can appreciate this much easier, because there is a words like hu, he, all those are nasalized versions. So all these 66 can be pronounced nasalized or non-nasalized. Okay, so that gives you 132 different swaras pronunciations.
How do we? Sorry, can I ask a question or?
We will discuss this in more detail, because because this is a colored and more details I had put in here. I came back to this, but all these things are discussed in detail in the next few pages of the book. Okay, so maybe your question may be answered. Okay, any questions on this slide?
Yeah, I have a question. How can we pronounce anuswar nasal? It's already nasal.
Okay. Anuswara is separate, because this 66 didn't include anuswara and visarga. So they are separate. Okay. So this nasalized and non-nasalized is the pure swaras only. Okay. So anuswara is already nasalized and it comes after another vowel. This is pronounced like anuswara, for example, because you asked the question. Let's say we want to add anuswara to A, after A. Okay. So in that case, you say aim. Now this aim is different than A. A is nasalized A. Aim is A followed by anuswara. Did I make that clear? Because a similar question somebody asked earlier, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, in the WhatsApp. So it's a very, very relevant question. Okay, so that's the difference between a nasalized vowel and a vowel followed by anuswara. A vowel followed by anuswara is not same as a nasalized vowel. A is different than aim. Did I make it clear?
Yes, thank you.
Taddhitāntas, just maybe I'm getting this wrong. I just want to confirm. So when I total this up, it comes to 23. If I remove the two
Okay.
and aha.
Yeah, take this out. Keep this separately. That is why they have
So if I take the 21, then multiplied by 3 because of udata, anudata, swarita, then I get 63. And then if I add
22 here, how many are here?
623, if I take the 2 or 21, 9 plus, right? 8 plus 13 plus 8, right? 8.
All right. I see 22 here.
9 at the bottom, right?
Yeah.
Plus 8 on top, 17.
17.
Plus 5, right?
Yeah, that is
22.
Okay.
Okay, so 22 multiplied by 3.
Yeah, 3 swaras.
So 66, right?
Yeah.
Then multiplied by 2 because
nasal and non-nasalized.
Yeah, nasal and non-nasalized. So it is 132.
Yeah.
So we are not including the two and aha, right?
Yeah, those are not vowels. They are different class.
Okay. I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Because we will be pretty clear.
I have one question.
A little more detail. Yeah, go ahead.
I was looking at the vowel r.
Yeah.
It looks like r is a combination of l and r of
No,
the
it is
Vyanjana.
it is not. It is how it is written. That's the only way they could write to differentiate it from the consonant la. Okay, but the r sound is not there. It is just in the notation. It is just a very neutral l sound. It's a
Oh,
vowel.
the r sound is not there. Okay.
The r sound is not there. The little tail, like any other r, is there, but because if you don't have that, you'll pronounce it as a pure consonant la.
Easel, she can pronounce it.
Hmm?
Easel,
Yes.
she can
Okay.
pronounce
So it's like a some very light, hardly light contact of the tongue behind the teeth. Okay. Now we got 3 more minutes. Let's see what is there in the textbook about. Yeah, I'll be switching back and forth sometimes between the textbook and any additional pages I have. Okay, so this I went to the slides to highlight, because of the sketch there, about the sthanas. Okay, the second aspect, I think we'll go to the next one also. We covered the vowels, so let's look at the consonants. Maybe a little too small. Okay. So because we are talking about the sthanas, so we'll talk about the vowel consonants also. Okay. Again, I put some colors in it so that I can separate, because when we talk about vyanjanas, there are other ways of classification, and there are more vyanjanas than swaras. Okay, the swaras in the common language, you can say there are 22, but vyanjanas are consonants, there are already 33. Okay, so how are they classified? What are their sthanas? Let's look at that in this couple of minutes. Okay, now you can see that I think everybody has studied in a certain sequence. Generally, we are familiar with ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, ja, jha, nya, ta, ta, da, dha, na, ta, tha, da, dha, na, and pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. Okay, so let's cover those, because those are called Vargiya Vyanjanas. They are like a 5 by 5 matrix. Okay, so this 5 groups are they called group consonants or Vargiya Vyanjanas. Okay, if you look at them, the ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, they're together called ka varga, the group of ka, or the ka group, ka varga. Now, when you pronounce each of these, you can just, if you're very conscious, you can see that the contact point or point of modulation is throat or kantha. Okay, so ka, kha, gha, ga, nga, the sthana is kantha, so those are kantyas. Okay, let's go down in the group consonants. And then next group is cha, cha, ja, jha, nya. And if you watch where the tongue makes the contact, it makes the contact to the roof of the mouth. Cha, cha, ja, cha, nya. Okay, like in the middle roof of the mouth. So they are called talavyas. Okay. Then ta, tha, da, dha, na. When you pronounce that, you have to roll your tongue. Okay. So these are the sthana is murdha. So they are called murdhanya. And tata dadhana, that group is tavarga. They are called dentals or dantyas. So because the point of articulation is dantaha. And pa, pa, ba, bha, ma, which you cannot pronounce without touching your lips. So they are appropriately oshtyas. The sthana is lips, oshtav. Let me go back to the vowels. I think I forgot to mention something specific there. Okay, so a is, yeah, we didn't go this way. Kanta. So all the all the is kantya. E is talu because
Cannot see it.
cannot. I think
No, we can see it's on the rightmost corner. Blue.
No. Oh, the swaras. Now
yeah.
we can see.
I just went back because we didn't talk about the sthanas. So a is kantya, e is talu, u is oshta. Now here there is no contact because when you pronounce the swaras, there is no contact between the tongue. It is just how where the air comes out. U is oshta, and you can feel that which part of the mouth changes its shape to make this sound come out. Okay. U is labial, which is very obvious. R is murda because you can see that the tongue goes towards the front roof of the mouth, just barely touches it. That's the R and L. And then the same way the sthanas are listed here. Okay, we talked about the sthanas of the diphthongs, but didn't specifically mention about the other 5. That's why I had to come back to that.
Jagdish, can you pronounce the L plus the R?
Yeah, it is pronounced as L. Okay, let me see. I don't know whether you can see my mouth clearly. It is pronounced like L.
So the R part is not heard.
No, the R part, to be exact, the R part should not be there. It should be just the L. And a lot of people, you'll hear most people pronouncing as R because it is written like that. Okay, and if you watch the printing very carefully, or people who print consciously, if the lakara is followed by the R, there is a very slight difference between the vowel L and La followed by R. Very, very minute difference, which I'll try to show later on. And for that, I have to make the font size very big. Okay, so the difference is so subtle. The only good thing is that we don't come across this vowel L very often, or hardly we come across. But as an academic point of interest, yeah, that's the difference. Okay, our time is up, so we will go to, I think we are done with the swara part. In the Vyanjana part, we will continue from where we stopped in the next class. So let's do the prayers and then get back to any questions. Okay, so let's go to the Prarthana slides. Okay, this is the concluding prayers. You can mute and still do the prayers. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet, asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om purnamadav purnamidam purnat purnamudachyate, purnasya purnamadaya purnamevavashishyate. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi om. Okay. We have any questions?
I have one question. This is Ram.
Okay.
The tattha dadda, is it na or ana?
Okay, that is na. This is murdanya na. So your tip of the tongue has to roll backwards. This is that na. And the other na is a simple na, like Nataraja, that na. Whereas this na is the Ganesha, Ganapati, that na.
Ganesha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Purna.
Purna, yes. Yeah, the Purna is better example because it is preceded by Ra. Okay, another Murdanya. So then your tongue will be in that position for 2 letters together.
I have a simple question.
Yeah.
When you say Om Purnamada Purnamidam, are you emphasizing on Madaha?
Yes,
your-
there is a Visarga Sandhi. We'll talk about that in Visarga Sandhi.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because all of this will be covered in this course. When we pronounce something as written, when we pronounce something a little different than what we see on the board, why do we do that? All of them have a reason, and we are planning to cover all those things, especially for all the prayers we do.
Because, when you do like your speed, I don't hear clearly, but say if you go like 3 notches down, like Om Purnamada, like slowly, then I probably can figure it out what you said.
Now that is because that Purnamadaha, that Visarga is followed by a pa sound. Then there is a Sandhi happening. So then it will be Purnamadaha Purnamidam. The Visarga will become like a F sound.
Okay. So
only when it is followed by pa and pa.
So it's Purnamada Pur Pa. It's like a pa.
No, the Visarga, Purnamada, and the Visarga will be pronounced as if an F before the P of Purna. So it will be Purnamada Purnamidam.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay.
It's so subtle. It's so subtle.
What is that?
It's so subtle that I can't even hear it. Fa.
Oh, yeah. But if you hear like a one-on-one discussion, you can catch it easier. But here, you are listening through my computer microphone and your earphones. So,
Yeah.
And yes, that is because of a sandhi.
Thank you.
Okay, and we will discuss that.
I have a question, Jagdisha ji. This is Meenal. With respect to the WhatsApp message, the wish that you said, Shivaste Panthana Santu. So does it change when wishing for like a male or a female or for a group of people?
Here it doesn't, because who you are wishing, that person is referred by a pronoun.
Okay. Yeah.
And pronoun doesn't change, especially you. That pronoun doesn't change based on gender. You and I do not change. He, she, it will change based on the gender. But here, because it is referring to the second person, you, it doesn't depend on male or female.
Okay. And for like a group of people, it is still the same, like?
No, the group of people, the letter te will change because te is singular, as I said.
Okay.
Okay. So if it is multiple people, the letter, the word te will change into something else.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, because there's gender specific, gender and number specific. Here only because it is te, you and I are genderless. The pronouns you and I are genderless.
Thank you.
Okay. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.